Right. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the official, we're going to call it official, episode 50 of the main Hopcast. So half
Woohoo!
century
That
birthday.
was rubbish, wasn't it?
It really
Whoa,
was.
50th!
Woo!
Get some oomph.
Well, if people go scanning through, they'll go, well, there's about 60 odd. But yeah, you know, we've done some specials, we've done some half pints, but as far as the main Hopcast is concerned, it's our podcast, and we can call it our 50th episode. So we're going to call it our 50th episodes. Happy half century birthday. We've got some guests. Got two guests tonight, and the usual crew. So we're going to start going around. I'm going to go to Sean first for his beer of what he's got tonight, as he sits in his dark conservatory.
Right,
We're an hour later.
Thanks for joining me. I've been here about 20 minutes, all set up and ready, and gagging for a beer. I have gone for a brewery that I've never had before on the Hopcast. Actually, they did get mentioned when Dave was on. Was that the last one, or did I miss the last one? And that was the one before. Anyway, when Dave from Still City was on it, we referenced Team Toxic because Gaza used to be a owner of Steel City. So I've gone for one of theirs, actually. 500ml bottle, long, tall bottle, sort of a bit of a gun shell approach. It's called Empress of Sidonia, and it's a Quince Jam IPA. And it's a beer that I've had before. Really enjoy it. Lovely bitterness to it. So I'll get that open now and start filling my glass. Cheers.
Excellent stuff. Laura, what are you wearing? What are you wearing and what are you drinking?
My fierce jumper. And I've ran out of new t-shirts, apart from one that I will crack out at some point. There's fluorescent orange, but I have got my new Smod hat.
Oh, yes. That's a very nice white. That's definitely not been worn.
Yeah, I've only worn it twice so far. It's very new.
You've not dropped it yet.
Not yet, but it's far too hot to sit in a hat, so sweatshirt it is instead. And I feel like I haven't gone that rogue in a while. So tonight I am a little bit, but in a strange way that I don't think people will necessarily expect. I'm having a non-alcoholic Cloudwater soda.
Why not?
Pineapple and yuzu soda. It's got Mochueca hops in it. Adult soft drinks with flavours from the brewery. So I've picked this partly because I've had a bit of a heavy weekend. And also because I thought, I know quite a lot of people doing Sober October and that kind of thing, and I think this is just one example of a way that even if you're not drinking for the month, there are still ways that you can support the beer industry. Keep going to pubs, whether you're having a beer or a soft drink, and there's various breweries doing low and no alcohol beers as well. So I thought I'd just do a shout out for you don't have to be a party pooper if you're not drinking.
Good stuff.
You are a party pooper, though.
Sorry.
It's a Sunday.
You are a party pooper, Laurie. Come on.
Very good. James. Good evening.
Hello.
Another early start tomorrow.
It was an early start this morning, and it's an early start tomorrow. Hence why I've taken a bit of a backseat, and also hence I'm going to get so much stick for my beer choice for so many reasons. And I thought maybe Laura having literally like a can of pop might take some of the sting out of it, but it probably won't. So I'm going for it's a Beavertown beer, and if that wasn't bad enough, it's a super session IPA. It's called Nanobot. It's 2.8%. For the simple fact that I need to be in bed within the next hour. So I thought I want something that's very nice and light. So this absolutely ticks all the boxes for me.
Very good. Can you say that again, James? What was it you've got? Sorry? I lost it.
Beavertown Nanobot.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Well, I'll go next because I thought I'd kind of, I had a few good options this week. And then I thought 3 hours ago, I'll put it to Twitter and see what they think I should drink. And I think 100% of the voters went for The new double dry hopped Jaipur, which is for their birthday, their 15th anniversary of Jaipur. I had a can of this the other day, and I hope this is as good as the last one, because Jaipur's own beers that you kind of feel is close to perfect, and it's kind of in its style and everything. I thought this had a little bit of something else, a bit hazier, and it's had a bit of a more like a rounded, nice, smoother flavour, which I think we're all more used to. I think Jaipur has that kind of, just has that kind of slightly old school edge, which when you've not had one for a while, you're a bit like, your palate's not sort of acclimatized to it, I suppose. So yeah, I think this was a nice addition. So I hope in this can is going to be just as good. So we've got some guests with us this week. Where one of the guests has been on before, episode 5 of the World Cup episode, where we went up to the Walkley Beer CO. So welcome to Nick. Hello, Nick.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. And you've recruited a new guy. Well, I say he's not a new guy, but I think most people in Sheffield who drink in good pubs has probably bumped into this guy. And that's Jay. Good evening, Jay.
Cheers, you all right, guys?
Yeah. So what are you both drinking tonight?
So we're both on the keg from the shop. Mm-hmm. So probably have a cheeky beer or two. I'm on the Vibrant Forest Chinook. Really good, easy drinking, single hop pale from Vibrant Forest down in Southampton. Absolutely everything you'd expect from that type of beer, and it provides it.
On the same beer, Jay?
No, I'm not on the same beer. No, I brewed it. Probably you guys have all heard of before, but I only really come across them recently, and we first got a beer off them through a wholesaler on Cask, and it was really good. And then on that basis, we got more. And one of them was one that Nick found, which is a lovely saison by Solvay Society. Just kind of a couple of. It's a saison with Simcoe hops, and it's infused with Szechuan pepper at 5.5%. But yeah, they've used like they really love playing with bacteria and yeast and everything, and that like some, I'm sure like Laura's gym would be really love to pick their guys' brains. Do you know what I mean? Not that might be, but they've used a saison yeast, obviously with it being a saison, but then they've used a wild yeast, and they've not specified what, but also added some other bacteria to kind of get some really interesting esters. So the sort of infusion of the Szechuan gives it like a really good gingerbread taste, and it's lovely beer. I'm really impressed by those guys and what I've had so far, which admittedly is only about 3 beers, but really good.
I want to come back to you, Nick, actually, because how long have you been working for Walkley Beer CO now? It's probably been is it over 2 years since we went to you guys now? It probably will be, won't it?
It would have been World Cup year. So because this year would have been Euros, so that would have been 2 years after World Cup, we're pretty much 6 years old now, but obviously we've not really had a celebration this year with things being a bit different. Whereas the last couple of years we've had like various different sort of tap takeovers or areas or things like that we've done before. This year's been obviously a little bit quieter.
Yeah. Sorry. You guys, I don't want to try and dwell too much on sort of the COVID stuff and that. I think we've done that to death. And I mean, there's probably a little bit to talk about maybe where we're at and stuff. But not everyone wants to listen to that every week. They get that in every other kind of media. But so are you guys just doing takeout and stuff? You're open, aren't you? But
Yeah. Just doing takeout's kind of decision that all 3 of us made, and the third person obviously being Kit, the owner of the company. And it's working well. Obviously, it'd be great to, I'm sure Nick will back me up on this, great to still have people sat in, do you know what I mean? Part of the Beer Co's emphasis really was obviously it's a business that has to sell beer, but like was the buzz and the atmosphere you had on a Friday, Saturday night of having, we're very small, so full at kind of like 30 odd people or whatever, and having a really good laugh, do you know what I mean? So that is a shame, but we're surviving with it, so it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've done pretty well in terms of remaining as a pretty viable business and things, mainly because prior to COVID hitting. Obviously, say it too much.
It's okay. You can talk.
We already were kind of like half and half takeout and drink in. So people are used to using us as an off license already. Yeah. So making the change to just being an off license for the moment, we've still maintained a very good core of regulars that come in, and obviously we've got the draft still on that people can get takeouts from as well. So it's gone as well or probably better than we expected. But at the same time, you do sometimes feel things are a bit quiet, things are a bit slow because you haven't got the people drinking at the same time. But things are still going all right. Things are turning over. So totally. In the future, we'll get people back in again, and they'll have the buzz of the Walkley Beer CO back.
I think when we came, the pub down the road had just reopened. They just opened on it. The
Raven.
The one at the bottom of the road.
Blind Monkey.
The Blind Monkey, and obviously more recently you've kind of got the Raven in around the corner. So it's kind of it's joining dots, I suppose. That area, it's probably healthy for another pub with a bit of some experience in the Wisewood, and people. It's not it's only a stone's throw away that it's kind of bringing people to the area, because I suppose Walkley's not. It's got its pubs, but it's kind of out of the way for people who maybe want to travel, a little bit out of the way. You've got the Hallamshire, the not too far away, but I think there's enough pubs and like the Blake as well that can kind of really drag people out your way now, I think.
I think prior probably to Blind Monkey and Raven being down sort of this end of South, this end of Walkley, we did notice that we probably got customers who come in sort of early evening and get the bus into town. Whereas prior to obviously going into it just being off license, but prior to that, we definitely saw a change in people who'd spend the whole evening in Walkley going to like 4 or 5 different places. So like making their way sort of say from this end of South Road to Raven with us and with Blind Monkey, then off up to like the Blake and the Hallamshire and Closed Shop, or vice versa. So it definitely benefits the area. So it's really good when you have that. Those are the businesses you feed off, and you create, for want of a better phrase, a bit of a scene, so to speak, in your little areas. It's good.
Yeah, it's good. I bumped into Jay last week or week before, up in the sticks basically, and I remember saying maybe a couple of years ago, saying we should get you on, Jay, and have a chat. Yeah. And one of the reasons I thought about that is that you've been to a hell of a lot. You've been working a hell of a lot of different places in Sheffield over the years.
Yeah, I get around, don't I, a little bit, I guess.
And do you want to kind of go through your history of where you've been? I reckon loads of people probably go, I know that.
I can list for it fairly quickly, really, I guess. But I suppose I've been working in the industry prior, but mainly in bars in town that, we'll not mention them, but starting with like real ale and craft beer, I guess, was starting at the Sheaf Few, and then moving from the Sheaf Few to still work for James Burkett at the Wellington when that opened up as the Deep End Tap, and then going on from the Wellington to cellar manager at the old workshop, like setting up and starting that cellar in their kind of craft beer range. And I guess that being a place at the time, other than Brewdog in Sheffield, that had a pretty decent sized kind of keg wall and that, which was pretty cool to have a go at. And then from there, going to run bar stewards for a while with Charlie and Alan, which is, as you all know, a really awesome little place. And then from there to from there to the Broadfield, working for True North. Did a little stint there for a little bit. And then from there to Commune, getting back into cocktails and a bit of craft beer as well, but that was still fun. And then 3 weeks before, not to mention it, but 3 weeks before COVID, starting at the Walkley Beer CO.
Cannot deny or confirm that we tapped Jay up prior to leaving Commune. Controversial transfer was rumoured to have taken place.
It was it stemmed something I want to think about, and we're all looking forward to kind of what's what the pub of the future is, because obviously what's happening. But I thought it'd be a nice kind of have a bit of a look back at maybe like the last 5 to 8 years or something. Yeah. Just have a kind of think about like how pubs have changed in that time. And I remember going up to the Sheaf, being a virtually entirely cask oriented pub, and probably quite traditional. You know, you're getting your easy rider and stuff, and that being a bit of a treat. And you know, not saying there's anything wrong with it now, but you know how the options have changed, and it changes you as a bit of a drinker, and maybe how you drink and stuff. I don't know if you've got any kind of thoughts on how you've changed, or how you think the scene's changed generally in Sheffield and nationally, really. But
yeah, totally. I mean, like, just because you brought up the Sheaf, and obviously I was there kind of like about 5-6 years ago. Yeah, it was Farmer's Blonde and Easy Rider, but I was drinking there same as you, probably like for a good 5 years before even working there. And yeah, like, I hate to say it because I absolutely diss the beer now, but like, yeah, it was like all about the like £1.80 pint of Farmer's Blonde, and you could go down there and gain a load of Farmer's Blondes, you know what I mean? And yeah, it's like, yeah. But I think drinking has changed, yeah, loads. And I mean, you go to the Sheaf now, and obviously Neeps and Blonde has taken over from Farmer's Blonde, Farmer's
Easy
Blonde.
Rider,
Well, no, like they've probably got Easy Rider off now, but that'll probably just because James has probably fallen out with Callum Island for some reason or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Could any kind of rhyme or reason, but yeah, drinking's changed loads, and I see it. I know it kind of maybe derives off a little bit what you're asking, but I see it a lot, even because I've worked in all the different places. I see it a lot with students in these days as well. Whereas, like, I think the culture of drinking in the UK in general is just changing to a degree. Like, a lot of students these days, I used to notice, I mean, obviously, back in the day, like in the noughties when I was studying and stuff, you know, you kind of went out for like bang for buck, and you had your 10 to 20 quid or whatever, and you were just going for whatever was cheap and could get you messed up, do you know what I mean, and go out and do whatever. Whereas I do notice, and a large percentage as well, I think, unless I'm just seeing a small percent, you know, just a certain demographic, but like, you know, they'd rather spend that 15, 20 quid now on, you know, 3 or 4 halves of, really good craft ales kind of thing, you know what I mean? Something they can enjoy and appreciate. It doesn't seem to be about getting absolutely right-arsed anymore, do you know what I mean? Kind of thing, so, which I think is pretty cool.
Sure, I'm going to go to you, Sean, actually, now, because I think maybe, I don't know if your sort of habits have changed maybe as much. Are you much of a proper pub goer? As you know, you know what I mean. You're not someone who's going out a lot. So
I've never been someone that's gone out a crazy amount, other than in my early years, of course, drinking in all the wrong beers in all the wrong pubs. But that's how you grow up as a late teenager and in your 20s in Barnsley. But it strikes me that over the last 10 years or so, pubs in the UK at both ends of the scale have been the success points. So from places like Walkley Beer Company, Tap, where I was last night, the explosion of micro pubs, which probably started with a beer house down in Sheffield in terms of our local area. So that's been a real success point. The large pubs, we don't mention Wetherspoons much on here, but they've made, I think, profit for 29 years in a row until this year, I think I heard this time. So clearly they've made a great success of having cavernous pubs with lots and lots of drinkers, and price being a real important point. So both ends of that scale, I think they're probably the opposite ends of the scale, have done really well. And it seems that pubs sort of stuck in the middle scale, who haven't perhaps focused and changed and considered the changes that Jay mentioned there with student drinking has changed. I think that drinking across the UK has changed. And so pubs in the middle, perhaps, unless they're selling the right beers and not really worrying too much about price, it's the ones that have got a Friday night karaoke and everything else, and think that that's the reason that people want to come to the pub, is to sing rather loudly and rather poorly on a Friday and Saturday night. They're the ones that seem to have been squeezed out. With the nods that I'm seeing on the screen, I suppose it sounds terrible to say it, but are we too worried about that? I hate to see good pubs close, but bad businesses do end up in any area of business end up having to close, and so quite a lot of pubs have gone, but I would question whether they were doing the right things. If they were, they'd stay open. If they were the Sheffield, that they wouldn't be closing. No. And that's because a business like that is doing things right.
I've always been one of people who've kind of thought that. And I suppose it's not always a good view to think about. People say, "Oh, you should be supporting all pubs," but when you have kind of the lowest common denominator stuff, it's like, in any other kind of business, any other type of genre of anything, if you're doing the bare minimum of what your customers want, whereas people don't seem to have the same sympathy. If you're selling like your kind of Carlin, John Smith Smooth, Strongbow, Guinness, you offer no food and nothing else, and you shut, I'm like, well, you've not done anything to kind of help yourself there.
And also, it's kind of like fair enough. Sell. I mean, we know they're not great beers. I'm not advocating the beers, but also just like, you don't sell sandwiches in like a stale bread cake, do you? You know what I mean? Like, so just like kind of, if you're going to sell poor products, at least look after your lines and sell it at its best potential. Do you know what I mean? And things, and
it's not like you have to have like the most exciting beers on every single pub that you go into. Wow, I want this, I want this, I want this. But you go into somewhere and you're like, okay, so your keg's pretty like standard. You got a bit of local cask on, great, kept it well. I'll drink that. You're not necessarily looking for something incredible every time you walk into a bar.
I can. Sorry.
Laura, I'm going to come to you. Not about you're quite a diverse sort of. You and Jim, you like to do a lot of different things. You're not kind of stuck to one kind of type of drinking or eating or pub style. Do you find that you've changed the way you guys kind of operate in terms of how you go out over the last maybe 5 years? And the other thing, I wanted to, a secondary question, which is probably about Abbeydale. Do you find that your customer stuff is diversified quite a lot, maybe in the last 5 years, or do you feel you still kind of sell into the same kind of more craft heavy pubs? I know obviously moonshine's kind of a beer that does seem to reach pubs that are not traditionally cask orientated or craft beer orientated, but I wondered if how that's changed maybe since you've been working there.
So I think in terms of what we do, I think a lot of how we decide where to go is to do with people now. There's that many places that that are doing great things, and like the Sheaf is actually our local, so we go there quite a lot. And then the new places that have popped up around us, Jabir, Wappy and Core are probably my two favourite places to go at this side of town. I think it's just that we can afford to be more mood driven. You can decide what you want, whether it's something to eat or a craft keg beer or just a few nice pints and sit somewhere quiet with your book, and there's somewhere to suit that. So I think really we've probably got a bit more picky in terms of what actually do we want out of the experience today, and kind of choosing somewhere that fits that. It's not like there's just a couple of places that we feel like we have to go to. I know one of the reasons I've got this soft drink today, we've had a few days off, so we've been desperately trying to go to as many of the businesses that we want to support as we possibly can. But yeah, I think it's just the choice has just grown so much, even in our little micro area around kind of Healy, Abbeydale kind of way. There's just so much going on now that's allowed us to be more choosy, I suppose. And then I think in terms of Abbeydale, because I've worked there for 5.5 years now, and it's changed massively, but it's really hard to say whether that's because of what the brewery is offering or because of the venues. It's kind of a chicken and egg thing, I guess. Moonshine is, and I think always will be, the absolute biggest seller that we've ever done. Most of that goes to quite traditional pubs. Most of it stays within Yorkshire. But then I think because of the business being quite well established and obviously 25 years old next year, so it means that the customer that buys 4.9's moonshine every week and has done for the last 20 years now might kind of think, oh, actually, maybe we will give an American pale ale or a lager or a stout with gingerbread in it or something, and they're kind of willing to give it a try.
Yeah, I suppose there's other thing you can relying on these pubs to keep it, keeping it well, and like you don't want to send beer and then them just leave it on the pumps for weeks, and then people kind of go, "Oh, that Abbeydale beer were terrible," and you're like, "That's because they don't really shift it. They haven't got the kind of not got the audience essentially."
Those guys willing to try those other beers, though, it's because from that one beer that you've always kept consistent means that they're willing to have faith in the other things that you produce, which is a beautiful thing, isn't it? That's really cool.
Yeah. Like when we were going around what we're drinking, Jay was saying, he's got a Solvay Society saison, and that was kind of on the back of because we got their Belgian pale on the cask. We were like, let's try something else from them. Let's once you find a good beer from a good brewery, you're definitely more open to trying more from them.
You want to invest a bit more,
yeah.
Oh, just on that, we had the other night a can of 820, I think it's called.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that beer up.
So good.
That is right. So other than St. Miles of the Desert stuff, that 24 case we got that sold in like 2 days.
Yep.
3 days, something like that tops. And it's just awesome. And that's sorry, I've kind of overtaken this, but that's what's great about like they like to play about with all those yeast esters and stuff, and the fact that they use, I can't pronounce it, but it's the same bacteria that basically comes off the skins of fruits. Do you know what I mean? Like, so is it Calicinia or something? Anyway,
Calicinia.
Right. Okay. Right. Cool. And that pineapple flavour you get at the end and all the other tropical flavours haven't really come from the Sabro hops. Obviously, you've got a bit of the coconut, but they've all come from yeast esters, and that excites me, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? That innovation, it's great.
It's a Sabro dry hopped stout.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't actually explain what it was. Just explain everything that was in it.
Just to take that last 30 seconds of what you two just said then, could you imagine having that conversation 7 years ago?
Probably not.
You're being really specific about, yeast, and you're talking about, and we're all talking about, specific flavors from hops. I don't think really we were really kind of. You went Citra, that's citrusy.
Yeah.
Probably not even in a lot of things. You only. Yes.
Or you might. No. I think you're always going to go. Oh, you get great fruity things from maybe like Nelson's Southern or something. Because you were getting beers like Kipling still probably, and what's the Abbeydale one? The
Deception.
Yeah. James, you've been quiet for a while, so I'm going to come to you as someone who goes around the country. Well, up until recently, home and away football. You're hitting lots of different sort of cities. How have you found the change in kind of what you guys are getting when you're probably going for a pre-match, pints in different cities and maybe little towns even? Have you found that's changed the last 5 years?
It's sometimes a little bit hard to tell because the kind of pubs that you get kind of shoehorned into on a away day are often not the best pubs that a town or a city has to offer. But generally, the ones where it's a bit of you can kind of go wherever and you're not kind of, you've got police waiting for you when you get off the train. There's definitely been a change. It's probably been similar to what we've seen in Sheffield in terms of there are more and more pubs that you go in that you just think, oh yeah, this is me, this suits me, and I think it's really interesting what Jay was saying about students now. More and more students that are going to what we'd class as being like, good pubs, our kind of pubs, that kind of thing. Because I think kind of like the kind of what you like to drink and the environment that you like to drink it in is becoming like an extension of ourselves. Like it's part of our sort of like life choices, isn't it? So people that like to go to the same kind of places sort of find each other and then like, go for drinks together and stuff like that. So what I do find on football away days is that me and my friends are the only football fans in the majority of pubs that we go in, because of the fact that, the sort of pub that Sean talked about earlier is where most football fans go. But yeah, definitely seen the same sort of progression of pubs and the sort of venues that really sort of match what I'm looking for as a drinker, which probably weren't there 5 years ago.
I don't want to put words in your mouth but I was thinking earlier about what kind of pubs were getting kind of craft beer, so craft keg beers in. first, in terms of what I kind of get. And it feels like maybe like the Thornbridge pubs doing their own beers on keg. And obviously being in Sheffield, getting kind of, in Sheffield, locally, that kind of switch over from, this, I can Jaipur on keg. I know you've lived quite near to some sort of Thornbridge pubs and stuff, and I mean, is there any kind of, anybody can speak up? Is any kind of breweries you think of really kind of turn that corner almost, in terms of kind of going from that traditional to let's start really pushing some keg taps? And
for me, probably the first sort of types of pubs I had like craft keg, I'd probably say were the True North ones, when they first started getting stuff like back as far as like when they first started getting like Brooklyn and Anchor on tap, that kind of thing. That was like probably when I first sort of like thought, hold on a second, beer can taste different to fizzy lager or brown cask.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, like we look at those kind of beers now, I guess, that Nick just mentioned, and you don't really, because they are different beers and the unique beers, but you don't look at that now. But back then it was like a proper, like, you almost like, I similar thing, I was like, ooh, I've got this lovely pint of Blue Moon, what's this? Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of like 8, 10 years ago.
A variety of things. You first start getting a bit more choice. You first start getting like something where you were like, okay, I'll try that, and I'm willing to pay like upwards of £5 a pint to try something different, to have something that I think tastes a lot better.
Totally.
And it comes back to what Jay alluded to, students we talked about with James, when you go to away days and things. You're willing to search out places and different beers where you're willing to do. Basically, it's a question of quality over quantity. Well, you want something that tastes good. You want something that goes into your what you're looking for, as opposed to just thinking, I want a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not hard to find places now either, where once upon a time it would be some pub hidden away in the middle of nowhere in some in a city where you'd have to be told by a friend that it's a pub that's most well known for food, but they have like a couple of lines of keg or something on. And now, like, you can literally go to pick any city in the UK, find it on Google Maps, just type in the words craft beer, it'll bring up loads of places. You read the reviews and you start narrowing it down. Some of them you only need to look at the pictures and you're just like, yep, that's the place I'm going to like.
Yeah, well, one of the big ways I've always explained the craft beer scene, really, to a degree, like, is like it in the noughties, like from like 2003 up to like kind of 2010, I was really involved with like the underground music scene and that, and it's identical the way it's kind of moved and gone forward, just because it's just like, at one point, underground music, you'd have to just be like, swapping tapes with each other and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And now, like, or your mate would show you a flyer, or you'd see a guy with a T-shirt on, and then you'd be like, I'm going to go and look for him on MySpace or something. Do you know what I mean?
I think the perfect
and the same can be said. Sorry, but like the same can be said as well, though. For, and I know you all know that I've got on my high horse a few times about sellout breweries and things like that, but my mind has changed a little bit on it to a degree, not totally. Like there's still a lot of stupid stuff going on, but like, it's kind of the same as like, when you've got like bands, and we all must know this, like we're all into different kinds of music, but someone goes like, oh yeah, I used to love that band, like, like all their early stuff's really good, but then they sold over to Sony, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not bothered about all that stuff no more. Like, I suppose that can go to like James's nanobot thing, do you know what I mean? Like, you would ashamed because it was a Beavertown, do you know what I mean? Like, and they still create some good beers, do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying I advocate that whole kind of like, I'm full in like mighty on for like independence and creativity and innovation, but it can be difficult sometimes. There are somewhere you just kind of like, you kind of feel like sometimes you're knocking someone for being successful.
I think my analogy on the music thing is keeping it Sheffield is that metal band Bring Me the Horizon got Radio 1 now.
Yeah. And the music's just totally different.
I remember that would never happen. It's the same as having a dipper in Wetherspoons.
Yeah, totally. I remember that first.
That's never happened, has it?
Well, we were all loving the big 6% cans of Bengali Tiger from American brewery.
6%'s never been a dipper though. You can't.
No,
go away with
I'll just
Yeah.
Oh no, they did resin. That's 9%.
Resin.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I didn't see that. Just to pick Sean up, by the way, on something that Sean said earlier. He says we don't talk about Wetherspoons very much. To be fair, we did record part of an episode in Wetherspoons once because you made us go there
in Scarborough.
Yeah. Did we sup any Bengali?
I had theirs. It wasn't that. It was the light version.
Chris.
What was it called? No, not that one. It's the. Oh, let's not talk about it. But yeah, it was the kind of it was a kind of like half resin. There's like a kind
Listen,
of.
we had fish and chips overlooking. No, in fact, no, we didn't. We could have had fish and chips, but we had a lovely view overlooking the harbour there that day. And so you've got to forgive me, James.
We did have fish and chips. He didn't.
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
It was a good day. I was back there a couple of weeks back in Scarborough, and it was nice.
Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to throw at you, but without warning, our 50th episode. What beer are you drinking, and what's your favourite episode? But I thought it's just too cruel because it's just to wade through. But I think one of mine that I really enjoyed was when we did something a bit different, and we did go to Walkley Beer CO, and we did the World Cup beer stuff. And I think that was a good day. And Lucy were working there then. I think Lucy's our most guested person.
Most capped,
Really?
if you want to
Yeah,
continue with the football analogy.
She's got the most caps for.
I think did Belgium win that one, Adam? I think.
Oh, was it Australia or Belgium?
I think it was Australia, wasn't it?
I think you find it was Belgium. Thank you very much.
Why did you ask that if you already knew?
They were both yours, Sean, so it doesn't matter.
No. I think it was.
It was an Australian one. I'm sure it was.
No.
Orange
Pirate Life. Did that win it? I thought Belgium. Didn't Royal Albert get to the final win it?
Well, it's a good opportunity for everyone to listen back to episode 5, Sheffield Hopcast, 2018. It's June, something like that. If you want to scan back, it's a good episode.
Well, my favourite was Scarborough by a long, long way. That was a brilliant day to be involved in. Really loved it.
Yeah, it was good fun. Got to meet your mum and dad was guested as well.
Mine was the Christmas one that we could never.
Which one
couldn't end.
That was going to be mine as well. Sean's 25-minute laughing fit at the end. Well, all he had to say was the phrase "Merry Christmas" from the bottom of my heart. You just couldn't do it. 20 minutes. It was from the bottom of my. Just couldn't do it.
Kept it in. Yeah.
Don't challenge me again. I can't say it. I can say Merry Christmas, but from the bottom.
Here we go.
He's neo-capitalist, so he's got no heart.
He's a fraud. I'd actually say about my drinking maybe changes on since the last few years, and I think probably I've kind of come full circle a little bit. Obviously, trying to find the best cask beer, and I always like the really hoppy stuff, which probably wouldn't if I'd drunk a pint of Hop Monster by what is Exit 33 now. I used to think that were like face meltingly hoppy. And just having it in really good cask beers. Even like a lot of the Abbeydale stuff, like the Dr. Morton stuff as well, like those kind of mid 4% beers. And they tasted really hoppy at the time because you just weren't getting that diversity of, hops, I suppose.
I don't know, man. I think cask beer is like a different beer. Like, I think people need to look at it differently. I mean, don't get me wrong. I really love it when Shakespeare's for beer weeks have managed to talk breweries like North Brewing into doing big dippers on cask and things, and some of their crazy like triple fruited gozers on cask and things like that, because cask got game. I mean, like, I suppose going back a little bit to the earlier conversations we're having about different things in bars and when you go to a bar and what you're looking for, like, I love it. I just love putting cask and keg against each other, you know what I mean? And I think that's a great thing. But yeah, cask ale, man, like, we had Ursa Major on recently talking about, like, I know that's not Dr. Morton's, that's the geoglyph one, but like it's kind of similar kind of range, isn't it? You know what I mean? And like, that was a lovely beer. That was spot on. You know, when you just don't want to get your face ripped off by hops and that, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can just go home and have something you can really enjoy. But if it's like and it's still got fruitiness. It's still got a nice bit of finish. You're still getting the yeast esters. You're still getting the malt backbone, and you can get all those different levels, and it's great. Rather than it just being like, oh, I know, we'll do an IPA. How do you make an IPA? Oh, we just chuck a load of hops in, and then that's it. It's like, no, I want balance, man. You know what I mean? Admittedly, you drink one of those beers, even if it is balanced and it's done well, like an obnoxiously hot one, and then you follow it with a cask ale. Yeah, the cask ale is going to taste like water, you know. But like, if you know, like, I still think that folk don't need to forget about cask. And going back again, just before I finish, moonshine when it's kept well, it's bang on. It's one of my favourite pints. Moonshine's amazing.
my point was I've forgotten now. My point was it was kind of something you just I felt like years ago you would sit in the same pub and you would maybe drink 5-6 pints of cask beer and it's all probably 4 to 4.5%. I think obviously with the keg introduced and the increase in price and percentage, I felt like I've never really sat in the same pub for a night I can't even remember. I can't remember the last time I sat in one pub all night with friends, just drinking beers. I don't know. It's just the culture's changed because of the options.
And I think now, Adam, wouldn't you love to do that again?
Oh yeah, no. I think what's happening now is I'm kind of coming a bit more full circle, where obviously you're kind of limited to kind of where you go. You're limited to who you see, and you're limited to what you want to do because you're thinking, well, if I go in 5 pubs in an evening, I'm spreading. I'm not spreading the risk. I'm spreading my COVID that I've not told anybody about. Now,
spreading your seed.
Yeah. But weirdly, where did I bump into you and Hannah from Neep's End, Hannah?
We were at Nag's Head. Me and Hannah were having a little walk around Loxley Valley. Nag's Head. We had that. It was that new. What was it? What did they call it?
It was a 5K. Yeah. Basically, I was walking. I was going for my Friday afternoon walk before I picked up my daughter, and there they are sat outside in the Nag's Head.
Do you reckon the 5K just meant that they put 5 kilos of hops in like 120 barrel brew or something? I don't know. It was nice though, wasn't it? It was all right.
It's fine. But we chatted, saying, we did chat saying maybe this isn't the best beer they do, but on the day, a pint of their stout or a pint of Brown Cow, and I think my point being is I've kind of come in full circle to. You really, really appreciate cask beer now because there was so long when you didn't have it. It was like 4 months, maybe something like that. Between like the proper lockdown, I was asking my wife, saying, "How long were we actually properly locked down for?" And I think I'm sure about 4 months before I had a proper cask beer, because the pubs are shut. And it's fine going to shop, but you can't get that experience again. And I think you just kind of I've kind of got to that point where now I'm thinking, I don't really want a quick half of something really strong. I kind of want to take this opportunity and. Go back to your roots a little bit, and I think I've kind of come full circle a little bit. But
totally,
I did the same, Adam. Yeah, I went in WhatsApp last night, and I honestly could not tell you at all what they had on keg. I have absolutely no idea, even though my head was about a yard away from the keg lines. I just didn't look at it. Didn't look. Just wanted cask.
All right. Should we have a quick whip round and see how everybody's beers are? So, what do I go to first? Sean, how's your beer?
My beer is gone, so
that's a good thing.
Its deliciousness. I also want to just chuck in another beer for everyone tonight. I'm not going to drink this tonight, but Adam, you remember Dr. Tankenstein? Appeared in one of our earlier episodes, Jim, and he brewed is a really talented home brewer, brewed a barley wine back in 2019, and he sent us all a bottle each to try. I've probably got a bottle for Nick and Jay actually as well.
When you say us, you mean us, or do you mean
the crew?
Joanne and people at Beer Central.
The crew. I'm talking with my Sheffield Hopcast hat on tonight. So I think I've probably got 6 bottles of this. I'm going to drink a bottle with Jim on a little recording that we're doing on the 9th of November. So if anybody is available out of this little team to appear on that via Zoom on Monday the 9th, he's really proud of it. And So it's a nice link to one of our early episodes. So I've got a bottle each for everybody, and definitely for the two Walkley lads as well.
Yeah, shout out to Jim actually, because I don't know if anybody knows, but he's now doing, is it called Beer from the Isles, which is kind of about aisles of supermarkets with aisles of British Isles.
Yeah.
So he's doing kind of a YouTube channel on that. So I think it's called Beer from the Isles or something like that. But yeah, check it out. It's just him going through, seeing what's the supermarkets are offering as well. So
Sean, is he just homebrewing then, like, and just doing little releases to people, or is he someone that like we could potentially get hold of? Or
no, he's homebrewing, so I don't think there's any commercial element to it yet. There's a commercial quality to the beer, but not to his operations. He bought a Torside barley wine from us, maybe 18 months ago, and he bought that with a view to trying to get some inspiration to brewing a top quality barley wine. He brewed the beer, and he's not had the heart to open his bottle of Torside yet. He's aging that still. So he got the inspiration from the purchase, has brewed his beer. It's been aging over 12 months now, and ready to hit the scenes.
That's awesome.
So we've got plenty to go out there. It's got a lovely label on it as well, so it looks proper.
That's massively appreciated that you're willing to share about with us guys as well, then, mate.
No worries.
And I know I'd definitely be well up for, if you're happy to have us for the little
Monday the night.
Definitely.
I think he would love it for as many people to be involved. He knows that Adam's his number one fan, so I told him that. but I'm sure I've got 6 or so it's easy to do that.
Good stuff. Laura, how was your pop?
More beery than I expected.
Pop.
So when I don't know if anybody, when I poured it at first, it was nearly clear.
Right.
And it's really, I don't get the yuzu, but it's really, really pineapple-y, and the hops come through quite strongly as well. It's got a really good bitterness to it, which isn't quite what I was expecting. But then I didn't really consider that I might need to carefully pour a soda. So I upended it all into my glass, and it's actually got hop burn.
Oh, really? You got hop burn from it?
Yeah.
No way.
So I've enjoyed it, and I'm glad I've tried it. I've got a mango one as well in the fridge.
The mango one is the one that I'm familiar with. I really like it, and this might be a good thing or a bad thing. It reminds me of Sunny D. Can you remember that? It's got like a really specific kind of mouthfeel.
But it was dirty.
Yeah, but it's got like a really specific mouthfeel to it, where it's really like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's
I'll let you know.
You know, kind of thing. Like, but yeah.
I think
nice.
As a non-alcoholic option that doesn't feel too much like you're just having a lemonade or anything, it's I think it's a really good option, something a little bit different. So
I kind of like that you did get hop burn from it in a weird way, just on the basis of that it doesn't mean that they've like just been poor on the hop bill. Just because it's like a low ABV, they've like gone full force with it. And also like Matuka as well, is you still see it a little bit, but it's a hop rarely used recently. I would say people might disagree, but I don't see it loads as much as I used to, say like 4 or 5 years ago anyway.
It comes in at a decent price as well, I think. I don't know, it's like in under £3, like 2, I don't know where it is, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just under £3. I bought it direct from Cloudwater's online shop.
Good stuff. James, how's your beer?
The beer's a bit rubbish, to be fair. Don't really taste very much, but that's so I'm more interested. So Sunny D, didn't Sunny D get banned because it was turning kids orange? Laura's been very modest and not mentioned the fact that she's now a YouTube star. So pull her up on that. And also, it's very interesting that Shaw mentioned that he is wearing his Hopcast hat tonight, because he's certainly not wearing his Hopcast trousers tonight. But that's another different story that we'll save for another day. In terms of the beer itself, it's 2.8%, and it kind of drinks 2.8%. It does taste a bit thin. It's a bit, I don't know, muddled in its taste. It's not really beery. And
would you give it 2.8 out of 5? Would you give it just to round everything off, or less than that?
Not sure I give it 2.8 out of 10 to
Oh.
be sure.
I think it was probably just about a year ago, or just under, when we did the episode up at Itchy Pig, and we did the small beers then. And I remember that the micro IPA from North being about 2.8. I think that is just, you need to benchmark everything against that, and then kind of go, come on, guys.
Probably, but then if you've got, Laura's getting Hopburn from something that's 0%, it shows it can be done. It can be done. You've just, it's what you want to achieve from it.
Yeah. I'll go for me next. It's as good as it was. It was just as good as it was the other day. You can't really see, but it's quite a lot hazier than your kind of, bright Jaipur, but it still has that Jaipur taste, but it feels almost like a different beer. It's enough. It's really, really good. I can't really praise it enough. I could drink it all day, but I couldn't because it's 5.9%. And
I'm really intrigued by that beer, to be fair, Adam, because a Thornbridge beer that I've enjoyed recently. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's just good to see it on there. But Green Mountain's quite good, and I'm imagining that beer is maybe similar to like a Jaipur with like a Green Mountain mouthfeel kind of thing, that kind of like almost New England IPA kind of mouthfeel, or.
It's more like, I suppose, there's that Jamestown as well, which is exactly the same strength, but this has much got that bitterness. You don't get that like kind of slightly not sickly sweet edge, but it's smooth, but it's still got really good. It's got the exact same bitterness as Jaipur, basically. So it's if this doesn't become some sort of extended or permanent thing, they're doing something. Call it something else. Just keep it on. It's good. You guys, how are your beers?
Yeah, the Chinook was spot on. It's exactly what you'd expect from a single hop pale. Vibrant Forests are always excellent, to be honest. We don't get them in as much as I'd like to be quite honest. It might be partly because they're based down in Southampton, so the stuff takes a while almost to come up to here, or you get like a large batch and then nothing for a while and another large batch. It absolutely hits the spot, does everything that you want it to. Very, very quaffable at 5%.
Very good. And have you had different beers? I saw you pulling halfway through.
I had a Chinook as well, but I suppose at the beginning I announced
you had the
Solvay Society Saison. Yeah, it's just it's great beer. Again, like just saying about the innovation of it and that, like with the yeast esters and that. But Szechuan pepper and things like that, when they're infused into beers, sometimes put people off because they're just expecting, pepper, it's going to be like really spicy. And it's like, they've done it really subtly for balance. And with the wild yeast and everything else, and the Saison yeast that give those kind of clovey flavors, it's kind of like a Christmas Saison. It's a bit like, sweet gingerbready, but not like slapping you in the face with ginger. It's just really well balanced. It's just I mean, I'm biased. I'm a massive fan of Saisons, but like it's a good beer. Awesome beer.
Good stuff. I think that just about wraps it up for this week. Sorry we had a break last week, but we really wanted to get Jay and Nick on, and it was the best week to this week. But it also brings us in line for 2 weeks' time, where we're going to do our sort of virtual Funk Fest episode. Hopefully Laura's not going to be too tired and drained from all the work she's put into it, and so hopefully we're doing something in line with that, and so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks to Jay and Nick, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Laura, get us a keg of that beer. you know the one I'm on about.
Good night, everybody. Cheers.
See you later.
Cheers.